from the truth of
one never moves away from the truth of oneself.
oneself. And one other thing, under the Niyamam, the fifth one is Ishvara
Pranidhanam. Ishvara
Pranidhana.
Pranidhanam.
Third, the
Pranidhanam. Correct. No, third illa. Fourth.
Fourth. Okay.
Mahaprana.
Mahaprana. Okay.
So sometimes translated as surrender to Ishvara. Ishvara Pranidhanam. Surrender. Surrender this idea that I am somehow the author of all these things. Surrender all those notions and allow things to happen. Take responsibility and allow things to happen. Take responsibility. I'm adding that because otherwise it's like chalega, sab kuch chalega, uske haath mein hai, Ishwar ke haath mein hai. What can you do? You know. What do you mean? What can you do? He has given you free will. Better use that free will. Right? Any other questions?
Yeah, Guruji, one question.
Yeah.
So in Ashtanga Yoga, the Samadhi, which you said Nirvikalpa Samadhi, along with that, if you have the knowledge and you're getting to realize the self, that combination is what then ultimate moksha that we are talking about in Advaita Vedanta. Would that be correct to say or no?
So the question is this. The question Vijay has asked is, now I have knowledge. Thanks to Advaita Vedanta, I have the knowledge of the self. And now add on to that Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then that has to be the ultimate, correct? That is the question he's asking. Because Nirvikalpa Samadhi is also great. It gives you a great experience. And why not throw that out? Why would anybody want to throw it out? And so here is the answer to that. Okay. After Brahma Vidya, you will not be seeking a special experience anymore. Experience has to be sought only when I feel that without that experience, I am incomplete. I am incomplete. I am inadequate. I am not good the way I am. Suppose a person says, I am fine and I will always be fine, regardless of my health. Next to Shloka is going to come. Look at this. He's going. Gurunapi Vichalyate is going to say, Dukkena. The greatest trauma can happen. And he's going to say, Krishna is going to say, even then, that person knows I am full. Who wants trauma? Who wants bad experiences? Enema? Okay. So he's going to say that. Therefore, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is a prelude to that Antakarana Shuddhi, which is a prelude to Atma Vidya, to Jnanam. After knowledge, you are not going to be seeking any experience. You are welcome to have any experience you want, but experience does not define you. You don't measure yourself by your experiences. Body is there, it will constantly experience. You have no choice. Pleasant experiences will be there, unpleasant experiences also will be there. You can choose what you want. But Atma is Pota. No experience can change that. No lack of experience also can change that. Therefore, Nirvikalpa Samadhi cannot add any more to moksha. After moksha, what I mean. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Narayanji, go ahead.
So basically in Ashtanga Yoga, when Patanjali Maharshi talks about Yama and Niyama, so there's a school of thought saying that why did he have to speak about Yama and Niyama? Because some of the earlier texts never spoke about Yama and Niyama. He talks about only about Shuddhikarana, and then it progresses. So there's a school of thought which believes that the reason why Patanjali Maharshi speaks about Yama and Niyama is basically because he is now making it this Vidya being available to a common person. Whereas the other text talked about, because in the other text, when you look at whether you look at Geranda Samhita or Shiva Samhita and all, it's assumed that this yoga is a very private practice, never to be done in public, and it is self-practice for self-preparation. So it's assumed that Yama Niyama is a part of your life anyway. The fact that Patanjali Maharshi talks about Yama Niyama as part of the Ashtanga, Angas of Ashtanga Yoga means that now it is being introduced to a common person. So in that sense, samsari comes into picture.
Okay.
Otherwise, the other texts don't talk about Yama Niyama at all.
Correct. Yama and Niyama taken for granted. Correct.
Yeah, it's taken for granted. Correct.
And also, Guruji, the asana till pratyahara, it is mentioned as Bahiranga sadhana. Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, they call it Antaranga sadhana in Yoga Darshan.
Oh, I see. It's called Antaranga sadhana. Yeah, in Yoga Darshanam it's a little different.
In Yoga Darshana, because then it is, you're in pratyahara, the senses which is focused outwards start turning inwards. So then it becomes Antaranga.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, Dhyanam also can be, depending on how you define it, can be called Antarangam as opposed to Bahirangam, right? That's what Veera was saying.
Yeah, Pratyahara is the crossover point.
Yeah.
So there you're working with the physical body. I mean, in asana and pranayama, you're working with the external, with the body.
Right. So here our definition of Antaranga sadhana is the means, because jnanam is the ultimate end, right? So therefore, even then slightly Pratyahara can move this way or that way. Yeah, Satyaji, go ahead.
I have one comment and one question. The comment is Ramana Maharshi used the term Manolaya, following breathing control, breath control. And it has been proven beyond doubt scientifically, it is a very, very effective means to control the mind and to calm the mind. And particularly the work done at the Mind Body Institute at Harvard University by Herbert Benson and his colleagues. They have written in a book called Relaxation Revolution. So I would strongly recommend to all the participants to learn the practice of pranayama in a proper way to derive the benefit. It doesn't cost anything. You can practice anywhere, at any time, even in the aircraft while you're traveling. You can do that while sitting or standing, whatever position you are comfortable with. So that's a comment. My question is whether we are studying Bhagavad Gita or some other scripture related to non-dualism. Speaks that you are the God. God does not exist apart from you. At the same time, whether it is Ramana Maharshi or Sankaracharya, have written so many poems, verses praising the so-called God goddesses. Why there is such a thing, such a contradiction?
Yeah, so it's not a contradiction. Unless you praise God, you can't come to Advaita. So it's a stepping stone. So Shankaracharya himself, how many he has written? More than 65 granthas he has written. On all Devis he has written. He's written on Ganapati, he's written on Shiva, Vishnu, everything is written. So without that, without a stuti of Parameshwara, Vishwara, Bhagavan, Vishnu, and Devi, there is no entry into Advaita. So Asti, Kathopanishad says it very beautiful. Asti bruvataha anyatra katam tad upalabhyate. Hey, you have to first you have to believe that God exists. First step, right? First step. Bhagavan hai, Ishvara. Then Ishvara Bhakti, Stuti is there. And praying in praise of Ishvara. That means what? When I praise Ishvara, what's happening is I am putting Bhagavan first. I am nobody in front of Bhagavan. So I am sublimating my own ego. I am sublimating my own ego. I exist because of you. Okay, that's the attitude. And my happiness is because of you only. And so that attitude is so critical. And that's what all this puja and parayanam and all that and the yaga and everything we do is for that purpose, to build that bhakti. And the bhakti, bhakti culminates in knowledge. That, hey, I am not different from you. You are not different from me. What a journey it has been. And you can salute Bhagavan, Bhagavan can salute you and walk away. Because Bhagavan can't walk away. Where are you walking away? I can't walk away, you can't walk away. This is the vision. And so there is no contradiction at all. One is a stepping stone to the other.
Then you are practicing dualism, is it not?
We live in duality, period. What practice in dualism? The fact that you and I are talking shows that there is duality, right there. Otherwise, no transaction is possible. Food has to be consumed for the body. Food is different. I can't say a stone is same as food. It's all Atma, therefore I go have munch some stones. No, I can't do that. So we have to follow the rules of dualism very much in order for survival and respect that dualism. And even the jnani has to respect that duality. It's because I'm a jnani and then I do things that are funny and just plain hazardous. No, that won't work. So duality is always there. Previously, duality was taken as satyam. Now duality is as though. Mithya. As though. Okay. Duality goes away. Where does it go away? Not outside. It goes away here. Where does the snake go away? Snake did not exist to begin with. It existed here. Therefore, it should only go away here. Correct? I hope that helps somewhat. So therefore, we should, the risk is getting caught in a dichotomy. Oh my God, there is duality. And then there is Advaita. But Advaita Jnanam is fantastic. But still, duality is there. It doesn't go away. Duality won't go away. Why? Because it is as though. It is really, it's not not absolutely real. Don't go away. Therefore, what about the body of the jnani? Will this knowledge give me freedom from pain? This knowledge won't give you freedom from pain. It can give you freedom from sorrow. Pain is going to be there because I am stuck in this body. This is the way the body setup is. And pain will come and go. Nobody can stop that. And but somebody asks you, are you complete? What will you say? Am I full? What will you say? Have you accomplished what is to be accomplished? What will you say? Is there a difference between you and Ishvara? What will you say? Is there a difference between you and me? Fundamentally, is there a difference between you and me? What will you say? That is what Advaita Vedanta is. Correct? Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But I can't hear you, Satyaji. You're muted. Okay, I think we have to. How do I mute all? Yeah, you can now unmute yourself without my Lord.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your answer. But again, there's always, when we make metaphors, when you are using the metaphors, we are comparing only one aspect. It is wrong to take everything as though they are equal in every aspect. Only one dimension, one aspect of it is comparable. But I mean, true Advaitins say that people in pain don't feel the pain when they're in deep sleep. What happens to it? So obviously it is in the mind. So, I mean, you know, one can argue in one way or another, but the point is, my question mainly regarding the Advaitins who say that the disease occurs only to the physical body if you think that you are the physical body. It does not occur to the spiritual body if you think you are a spiritual body. So the journey is going from duality to non-duality is to assume that you are a spiritual body and resist all the issues related, painful issues related to physical body. So if that is the journey that we are taking, I'm just wondering if we are on the right path, in the right direction.
So the big question, elephant in the room is, who am I? Okay. Who am I? Who are you? That is the question. And so you already said, I am the body. If I am the body, then everything that happens to the body is Satyam. And so I was born someday, I'm going to die someday. That's it, over. And then you deal with your pain the way this, and science is helping us deal with the pain. But Shastram has something different to say. The Vedas culminates in the Upanishads, and the Upanishad message is an astounding message. And it says, you are Atma. Body is you, you are not the body. Body is you, you are not the body. How am I going to understand this? So therefore, we are not trying to fool ourselves. We are not trying to condition ourselves. We are not trying to mesmerize ourselves into thinking, I am not the body, I am Atma. That is possible. This mesmerization is also possible. Conditioning is also possible. And that conditioning also will have some positive benefits of not feeling the pain, etc. You don't need Advaita for that. There are people who can train us to think that I'm not the body. But certain meditations are available which can help you with that. But here we are talking about knowledge. Knowledge of Atma, and it is not just the body I'm talking about, we are talking about the whole world. Jagat Karanam, Brahma and Atma, we are equating. This is a very grand equation. Grand equation. So it is going beyond just body and Atma. We have to, that is why we can't stop with just body. Shivoham is not enough. Shivoham is not enough. You have to deal with the world also. Otherwise, there is going to be denial. We end up with denial. We will deny what's happening in the outside world. These problems will happen. So that's why this vision has to be holistic. That is my observation.
Very much.
But everything you said is true. The scientific proof is there about the pain, and then the meditations, the idea of understanding that not associating too much with the body. All that is very true. I mean, science can surprise. Science has proved it. Yeah. And so everything you said is true from that perspective. Yeah. Thank you, Satyaji. Any other questions? Okay, so we'll pause with that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amrita Kalashahastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trilokyanathaya Shri Mahavishnave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amrita Kalashahastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya त्रैलोक्यनाथाय श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय धन्वन्तरये अमृतकलशहस्ताय सर्वामय विनाशनाय त्रैलोक्यनाथाय श्री महाविष्णवे नमः. And to your point, that pain, Advaita Vedanta also makes people not feel the pain so much, which is also true, which can be true. Even a mature person will have that ability. On top of that, Advaita Vedanta will also do that. That's a side effect of this Shastra, correct? And some people, they are gifted to a point where they don't feel the pain at all.
That is a positive outcome of alternative medicine. Even the pain management we use, all the techniques like a meditation, definitely. I always used to recommend that one. Acupuncture, and then also alternative medicine. Many things are unknown, doesn't mean that they don't exist. We are ignorant about it. Our Shastras are much more proven, efficacious, and many of them we don't know in the modern science. That is one of the pitfalls of Western medicine. Always they want like a black and white proof. Many things we cannot, but it does help, meditation especially. Thank you. It's a wonderful session.
Ramana Maharshi